Hi, this is Ms. Serratis. In this video, we are going to look at the What's My Grade assignment. So for this assignment, we're not going to use Excel. We're actually going to use Google Sheets, which means that you can technically do this from home. All you need is computer access and the internet. So you go to your assignment posted in Google Classroom and open it up. And what you want to do is scroll down to the area where it says Your Work, click on Create, and click on Sheets. And what that'll do is attach to your assignment a Google Sheet with your name on it. I'm using a fake student, that's why it says CMS student. So the cool thing is your work will automatically be attached. So you click on it and that'll open up the Google Sheet drive. I'm looking at the directions, and the first thing it wants me to do is type in the title. So I'm going to type in What's My Grade? And then enter and type in the subtitle, which is computers. And then there's some formatting, and the formatting is going to ask you to merge and center through column D and to make it bold size 12. So merging and centering in Google Sheets is slightly different than in Excel. So first I'm going to select A through D, A1 through D1. Again, only one row at a time, so that's the same. This is the merge and center button. When I click it, nothing seems to happen to the words, but if you notice, the cells were all put together. Now to put in the center, click here, and now it's in the center. And then I need to bold it and make it size 12. And then I was asked to actually do the same thing for the second row, the subtitle, but I'm just going to use my format painter. It works the same as in Excel. First, I'm going to select the whole row. I'm going to click on the painter, and then I'm going to go ahead and click here on the second row, and it did it. Great. The next direction is to actually start typing. So it says that in column B, you're going to type your actual assignments, and in column D, you read that correctly, you're going to type your grades. But in column A, you're going to type the category, whether it's an assignment, a test, or a project, because that's going to make a difference on how the grade gets calculated. So I actually went ahead and did that part. So I'm going to go ahead and go to that file. And I already started typing. So as you can see, in column A, I wrote, what the category was. In B, I wrote the assignments. I skipped C for a reason, and you'll see that in a little while. And D, I put the actual grade that was earned on the assignment. So keep in mind that your actual assignments might be different. Maybe you're doing the same ones, or maybe you're doing slightly different. So going back to the directions, I'm up to number 4, which says I'm ready to type the remainder, which is the bottom half of the spreadsheet. So they want me to type categories, category averages, feel free to pause me and go ahead and do your own typing and then come back if you like. Assignments, projects, tests. Okay. And it also is telling me that in C21, so in this case, we mean the decimals that are going in the weight column, to enter that number as a decimal. If you notice the paper, it says 40%. Well, if you need to enter that in as a decimal. Let me show you why. If I just type in the number 40 and then add a percent sign to it, it turns out to the number 4,000%. We don't want that. So we need to do is type in 4.40, and then when I add the percent style, I get 40%. I'm going to go ahead and decrease decimal, and that one's correct. And then I need to do 0.30 and 0.30 and apply the percent style and decrease decimal. So I just did direction number 4, and now direction number 5 wants me to use the average function to enter a formula in this column here for each of these items. So one of the things I paid attention to when I was typing in my assignments was I made sure that anything that had a category of assignment was typed together, all the tests were typed together, and then the projects were typed together. I encourage you to type it in that way because it's going to make it a little easier for you when you do the formulas. So now we need to find the average of all of the assignments. So going to my auto sum button, I notice that I have a function here called average. So if I click on it, it starts putting in the formula, which is equal average. And now I need to highlight all the numbers that go with the category average. And if you notice in this case, it's D5 through D14. That's the last average one. So here it is, equal average, D5 colon D14. I hit enter, and there we go. So the average of all of my assignments was a 93.3. If I want to double check that I've got the right numbers, I hit the F2 key, the function 2 key, and you can see what numbers were selected. So notice that only the ones with assignment as a category were selected. Moving on, I only have one project, so I don't need to do an average, but if you had more than one, then you would do an average. So I only need to select this one number. So that's it. And for tests, same thing. I can come over here and select average, or I can actually type it. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and type it, equal average, open parenthesis, and these are my tests. There should be 3 of them. And then close parenthesis, enter. And the test grades were 80. Again, if I want to double check, I'm on the cell, I hit the F2, and they're taking these 3 numbers, and these 3 numbers all have the category of tests. So we just did number 5. Now we're ready to find number 6, which is the term grade. And to do the term grade, that's right here in column B, what we need to do is multiply the weight with the category average. So it's going to be equal category average, B21, times, which is the asterisk, the decimal. And you do that, you get an answer. I'm just going to go ahead and handle that all the way down. So this is telling me that of my total grade, 37 points come from assignments, 28 or 29 points are coming from projects, and 24 points are coming from tests. And direction number 7 wants me to auto sum this. So you can either use the auto sum function or actually type it in. So I like to type it in. Equal sum, open parenthesis. I'm going to just go ahead and select these 3 numbers, close parenthesis, and I must have did something wrong. Obviously, when I did an F2, I could see I did something wrong. So let me try that again. Supposed to be equal sum, open parenthesis, highlight the 3, close parenthesis, and there we go, a 90. That's an A-. That's how you calculate your average for the course. So what's really cool about having this set up like this is you can actually see how the different grades impact your average. So let's say, for example, you notice that the tests were 24 points. So let's say, for example, Mrs. Ross was super nice and allowed me to make up a test. Instead of earning a 70, I earned 100 on that one and 100 on that one. Bam. Did you see how it changed? It changed the test to 30 points and your average to a 96. So I'm just going to undo that. Not that it really matters. This is just an example, but you can actually see how different assignments impact your grade now that this is set up like this. So the next thing is all of the formatting. So one of the first things it wants me to do is adjust my widths. And the reason for that is I want to make sure that I can see everything. So I'm just going to actually make column A a little smaller. I'm going to drag out column B. And the reason why I have a column C is so that the weights will show up over here. But I don't need it to be that far out. So I'm just going to drag it in like that. And I'm going to move on. I might have to adjust my widths a little bit more afterwards. So let's start at the top, a fill color. So some kids make the mistake of selecting the entire row and applying a fill all the way across. You don't want to do that. What you want to do instead is just go ahead and select those 4. To do the fill, it's the bucket. And just go ahead and pick a color of your choice. I'm just going to go ahead and go with this green. And after I selected the green, I realized I can't really see the words that well. So if you need to change your color in order to make it visible, go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and make it bold. And I think I'm going to go with a white. And I think I can see that much better. So I just went and applied bold and I applied white. And we're actually going to do the same thing down to this set of column headings here. Apologize for that. And I'm going to use the same color. I'm going to go ahead and make it bold. And again, I'm going to make it white just to keep them the same. So one of the things you notice on the paper is that these actually, it's called wrapping. The words wrap so that they are within the same cell. Instead of stretching out, they stretch below. Because look at what happens. Pay attention to the word category average. If I make the column smaller, all it does is cut the words off. And I don't want to cut the words off. So in order to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select all 4 cells. And this is the button that you're looking for. It's called text wrapping. And if you click on it, you have a couple of different options. I usually pick this middle one, which is the wrap button. There is a similar button in Excel. It does the same function. I click on that. And then the next thing I need to do is go to my vertical alignment, the up and down alignment. And I don't want the words aligning at the top or at the bottom. I want them at the middle. And I click on that. And now, in order for you to see what happens, look at this word category averages. I'm going to make the column smaller, and there we go. Last but not least, I think I need to put this in the center. So I go to the center button, and there you go. Now I've made it look like the paper. So if you need to do the same thing, I don't think it's necessary for the top, but it's definitely necessary for this set right here. So when I adjusted my column widths, I adjusted it so that this didn't look out of place in terms of where everything lines up, but I still have to be able to see all of the assignments, which I can't here. So what I'm going to do is probably make B a little bit bigger and maybe make C a little bit bigger. I can definitely see everything, and maybe I'll make D a little smaller. So there's a couple things I'm paying attention. I'm not actually giving you a column width, but what I'm paying attention to is, can I read everything? This might actually be too big. We don't want that much space. I'm going to make D a lot smaller. Can I read all of the assignments? Can I read everything that's in column A? But then on the bottom half, does this look correct? And it does to me. I think we're okay. One of the things I want to do now is I want to center column D. So I just go to the center button. And I also like to center all of these numbers down here. Beautiful. This looks weird. I think it's time to fix it. So these 3 numbers, I'm just going to go ahead and apply a comma style. So to do that, I'm going to go to make sure the 3 are selected. I'm going to go here to this 1, 2, 3. My favorite is the financial. I do that, and what it did was just added 2 decimals automatically. Because we added these numbers, we need to make sure we underline them. And the underline is under Format, Underline, or you can just do Control U, and that'll put an underline. And I also want my average to stand out. So I'm going to make it bold, and I think I'm just going to change the color to red so it stands out that that's the average. So we're almost done. The only thing that's left is to apply borders. So the borders are actually done column by column. So I'm going to start with this section here. I come here, and I want the box one, and that does that one. Now I have to be careful when I do my second set of borders. Again, just doing that top section only. Apply the borders. Notice how I did B and C together. And then again, once more, I'm going to apply the border, doing the box. We are almost done, guys. Got to do the bottom half. Now we have 4 sets of borders to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply the borders. And someone might be like, well, why aren't you just using your Format Painter? You know, I would love to do that, but keep in mind that some of the numbers, like this column C, has got percent style. So if I apply the formatting from the column before, I might have a problem. So one more. And I don't think I looked at, because it all seemed to work out, I'm going to have to apply the borders here. I'm sorry. See how I have 2 decimals and 1 decimals? I need to fix that. I'm just going to go ahead, come here, do financial. That looks so much better. And there's your final grade. And how do you know what this looks like? Well, what I like to do is I like to do a print. When I do a print, I do no grid lines. I make sure that I have portrait selected, and I hit print. It won't print out. It's just going to give me like a print preview mode. And when you do a print preview mode, once it loads, you can see this is how it looks like. It looks very professional. You've got your title, you have all of your assignments in these cool looking boxes, and then all of the average information on the bottom. So that's it, guys. So go ahead, do your assignment. When you're done, you just turn in your work and I will look at it. Thanks. Have a good day.